The little girl sat on the cold pavement outside the bakery. Her legs were pulled close to her chest, hands rested on her niche. Was not begging, was not crying, was only watching bend. The clear glass colorful cakes stood in neat ruches. Vanilla strawberry, some were shaped like flowers, some had tiny candles already placed on toppy pole. Walked in and out, laughing, holding boxes tied with bright ribbons. Girl smiled softly. Every time the door opened, warm air touched her face and carried the sweet smell outside it. Then the door closed. And Ganond, the smile for Dediday was her birthday should turned. 801 knew no balloon snow. Gifts no cake in Lihera. Black car stopped near the bakeria. Young man stepped out. His clothes were simple but posture come his face serious. But Kindi was known in the city as a young billionaire Zomion, who built companies quietly. People admired from a distance. He entered the bakery and ordered coffee. The owner greeted him with respect. Employees whispered his name softly. Waited near the counter, then turned toward the door. That was when he saw Hera, small girl sitting alone, her eyes fixed on the cake's net with greed. But with wonder he stopped. Something pulled at his heart. Pushed the door open, stepped outside of yellow. He said gently, are you sitting here? Alaneath girl looked up surprised, stood. Quickly her voice was small. Today is my birthday. Smiled. Happy birthday, he said. Where is your family? Me, mama, is working, she replied. Cleans house. Could not come. He nodded. And why are you Herethi? Girl looked back at the Kaksai. Just wanted to look. I never had a birthday. Kakathi words stayed in the air. Never had a birthday. How old are you today? He asked Kathit. She said. He was quiet for a moment. He opened the bakery door. Again, come with me, he said. Girl stepped back. I cannot. I have no money. You do not need money. You are my guest. Hesitated, then slowly followed him. Inside, people turned to look. The owner smiled nervously. Young man pointed to the display. Chooseth girl stared at her eyes, witty. Her fingers shook. After a long moment, she pointed at a small chocolate cake with strawberries on top. Baker lifted it. Philip man asked him to write happy birthday Amaneth. Girl froze it. Knew her Namish touched the box gently, as if it might disappear. Sat at a small table, placed a single candle on the cake and lit it. Make a wish, he said. Amina closed her eyes, wished quietly, then blew out the candle. Her smile filled the room. Shiate, he asked about her lives. Told him about a small room they lived. Aina about her mother. Leaving early every morning, about studying under a dim light, about her dream to become a teacher. You are very strong, he said. She smiled proudly after she stood opened, spoke quietly to the bakery owner. Then he made a phone call. Out Sadia. Short time later, the bakery door opened again. A woman rushed in her clothes. Werner, face full of worry. Amina jumped from her chair. Mama, she shouted. I had a Kaketsi mother. Looked confused, then scared, then relieved. Young man stepped forward and explained everything. Fee woman listened. Her hands shaking. Tears fell from her eyes. Told her that he would pay for Amina educational the way until university books, food, clothes. Woman covered her mouths, could not speak. But he was not finished yet. Told her that he had bought the building where they lived. The would no longer pay rent. Arranged a stable job for Hera with fixed hours and fair pay. People in the bakery watched silently. Sem wiped their eyes. Mother finally spoke. Are you doing this? Young man looked at Aminaho, was licking chocolate from her fingers. No child should feel forgotten on their birthday because kindness should be normal. Sometimes all it took is noticing. Amina held her mother's hand tightly. That night they walked home together with a cake box in their hands and hope in their hearts. And the young billionaire drove away, quietly knowing that this was the best investment would ever make. The next morning arrived quietly. Soft light entered the small room through the cracked window. Amina opened her eyes slowly. For a moment she stayed still, afraid that if she moved, everything from yesterday would disappear. Then she saw the cake box resting near the wolf ribbon, still tightened. She smiled. Her mother sat nearby, holding a letter. She had been reading it again and again. Her hands trembled. Her eyes were tired, but bright. Mama, Amina whispered, is today real? Her mother looked at her and nodded. My child, today is real. Outside the city, moved like always passed people. Hurried, but for them everything felt newer. Knock came at the door. Amina jumped. Her heart raced when the door opened. The young man stood there, addressed, simply smiling gently. Morning, Amina, he said. You ready for what? Amina asked, at her voice full of wonder. Ready to see how big your world can bet. He stepped out. Sadia black car waited. Amina had never ridden in one before. She climbed in carefully, touching at the ceiling windows. Everything felt unrealistic. The calm of Amina watched the city streets she had only seen from faraway parks with green grass. Children riding bicycle shops with bright signs. Where are we going? She asked headfirst. Your new school, your new home, her mother gasped. Softly Amina held her hand. Tightly the car stopped in front of a large square gate. Was tall flowers lined the entrance. Children laughed as they walked inside. Amina felt small. She hid behind her mother's young man knelt beside her. This place is not bigger than you belong. Hiraya. Teacher approached, smiled warmly. Welcome. Amina stepped inside slowly. Halls were bright, walls filled with drawings, classrooms full of light. She sat at a desk near the window, her hands folded, her heart beating fast. Teacher began speaking. Amina listened carefully. Every word felt important. During break time, she stayed seated watching other children. Then a girl approached her. Himi, name is Sarah. What is yours? Amina replied softly. Amina. Sarah smiled. Oh, you want to play? Amina nodded. From that moment, school no longer felt scary. Days turned into weeks. Amina woke up early every mornings, prepared her bag carefully. She walked proudly. She loved readings, loved writings, asked questions, helped other teachers, noticed that they praised her curiosity. Kindness at home. Her mother changed tush, no longer returned, exhausted. Late at night, cooked dinners, laughed, listened to Amina story zone. Evening, Amina asked Mama, why did he help us? Your mother thought for a moment, then said, because some people listen when life whispers. Mince passed. Then yes, Amina grew taller, stronger. Born her 10th birthday, she invited her classmates home. Ethy shared cake. The Loget. Amina remembered the cold pavimented, smiled young man. Visited Summit Mesneva, staying longer ways, encouraging ways, watching quietly. Remember, he said on Salju, wealth is what you give. Away. Amina carried those words in her heart. At 12, helped children who struggled with reading. Got 13, collected books for poor families. At 14, spoke in front of her class about kindness. Each time she remembered the bakery glass window, the smell of cake. Her mother often watched her silent lighters of pride. In her eyes passed quietly, without noise, without headliness. Amina entered high school. Thin Collegeways studying. Ingleways helping on graduation day. She stood on stage holding her certificate. Hall was full. Her eyes searched. Then she saw him at the back smiling Tofter. The ceremony. She walked toward him. You noticed me, she said, when no one else did. Replied, you changed your life. I only opened a door. Amina shook her head. No, you showed me that doors exist. That night Amina stood on a balcony at the city light. Remembered her wished one she made while blowing the candelato. Never let another child feel invisibly. Later Amina became a teacher, just as she had dreamed on cold evenings. Saw a small girl sitting outside a bake cakes through a glass window. Amina stood, her heart beating fast, walked toward the girl and knelt down. Hello, she said gently. Are you sitting here alone? And in that moment, circle of kindness began again.